Well, hello. It's a brand new year. It's 2024. Welcome to Pieces Pat Paints. I'm Pat. These are pieces. Well, you can't really see them from that angle, but where's pieces? We've got lots of pieces. I got pieces all over there too. So that's what we do here. We paint pieces. I started doing this not too long ago. I started painting miniatures a long time ago, but I started doing this channel not too long ago. We're in our 10th, today is 11th episode, and we are now in 3rd month of doing this. I was doing shorts for a while, just posting things that I had and stuff. Oop, I forgot to turn on this light. So I'm still learning. That's not the cord I was looking for. There's a better light. It helps make my face look better. That's what everybody else says. I don't know why anybody would want to look at my face, but that's okay. People do. There it is. Bam. Right in my eyeballs. So it's super bright for me. That's why I try to keep my head tilted down like this so that, it's not all my eyes. And it looks like I don't know. I hate this stuff. I don't want to change my glasses though. I like glasses. I'm one of those old souls kind. Anyway, before we got into the new year, we were working on Princess Bride characters, which is fun. This came from a board game. You can get it on Amazon if you're looking to paint these pieces or just have the game to play. It's a cool game. So we're gonna finish these guys up over the next couple of whatevers. And then we're going to start working on something new. I think I put a poll on the last deal, but it didn't work out very well for me. So I don't know. I'm very bad at these sort of things, and I'm getting better all the time. And I definitely need all of your help. So make sure. Oh look, we got a comment. Sweet. Thank you so much. So we're going to try and get to getting some washes on this stuff, and then we're going to work on the bases and things like that. I kind of knocked this guy up a little bit. I got to retouch up his boots to fix him up. But as you can see, that white is going to sit right there in those cracks real easy. And then I want to come back with another ink color, and I want to make it oh god, what am I trying to say? I want to make it the color of the character on the base is what I'm trying to do, which to me seems like a really cool idea. But yeah, and then as you saw, we're gonna do a round on there, and then we'll fix these up. We're gonna come back with the black and clean it up right there too. But this takes a long time, and it's kind of boring. Anyway, we're pretty much almost done with all the base coats. We're gonna come back and we're gonna need to do his jewels, but we're gonna need to get a new color for that, which I always love getting new colors. I'm sure you guys do too, because the new colors is great. So I mean, I don't know, I like new colors. Maybe other people don't. I'm trying to get the chat back up. It dumped me out. Hold on just a second. If I have a weird look on my face, that is what is happening. But yeah, we're gonna get our gold out. Right now I have a bronze and a silver, but I'm pretty sure Prince Humperdinck needs some gold, and we've got to get Wesley finished up on
or risk his army fracturing.
Now my stuff's trying to play weird things. It's a strange day here in the studio. Not that it isn't always a strange day here in this studio. We do strange things. It's fun that way. Golly,
Caesar, on the other hand, had wasted no time. He marched quickly to...
For those of you who don't know me very well, I listen to really boring military campaign strategies, which yeah, I don't know that anybody else actually. There's probably a lot of people who do it. Actually, History March is what I was listening to there. That's a really cool channel. So I mean, obviously, there's lots of us that are into it, but I don't know how many of you folks are into that. A lot of you are into tabletop strategy, things like that, so you might be. If you are, check out those guys at History March. Really, really, really cool channel. And that is what was playing right there. Again, I'm trying to get to my my chat so I can see you guys talking to me, because I don't use the same sorts of things anyway. I might as well just use my phone at this point. So goodness, what a fun ride today has already been. So hope everybody had a good New Year's. I hope you didn't imbibe too much, and I do hope that all of your loved ones made it home safe, because that's important. All right, so let's get a little bit more black on the Man in Black. Right now, we're kind of just trying to get this Mars black that we're using onto the primer, because we want to be able to come back and create a smoother dry brush. And this primer, the one I had to use to stick this on here, is a little glossy. And so we need to dull that down, or he's going to look like a G.I. Joe. And while G.I. Joes are cool, we don't necessarily need a G.I. Joe's looking like that. Or we don't need this guy looking like a G.I. Joe. I may have had one too many cocktails last night myself. It's just alright. I'm not normally a kind of person who drinks too much. It's not my thing. Whoop, grabbed his neck hard on that one. But we had a good time. We made paella. If you know anything about international cuisines and foods like that, paella, which is really good. I was a chef before I started doing this. Some of you all know that, and some of you all do not. Now all of you do that are watching do, which is awesome. Don't paint the family jewels. That's amazing. Don't paint the family jewels. I don't know. We kind of have to paint the family jewels, but in the more traditional sense, and in the more regular sense. Because I gotta get in there, and I gotta paint the jewels, and then we gotta paint the other jewels. Wesley's got one set of jewels, and I guess Humperdinck has got the other set of jewels. That's funny. Don't paint the jewels. Thanks for that. I'll be laughing about that for a while. Never enough cocktails. There is a level, guys, where there's too many cocktails. It usually comes when you're exhausted, and what that cocktail does is put you out on the couch for 30, 45 minutes while you recover, so that you can hang out with everybody. And such is life. I do miss chefing, but that experience definitely taught me that my old body is done doing it. It is what it is. But it was fun to do. It was fun to do this Spanish stuff last. My last big hurrah, because I don't know. After this, it'll all be helping out at Thanksgiving, or helping the family figure out what they want to do for whatever. I won't be doing a lot of it myself. All right, so this is that Iron Warriors. I like it for a dark metallic. I use it for a lot of my undercoats on my blades and stuff like that. Metals, anything metal. And if I want it to be stay a darker metal, or if I have it's a black color and I'm trying to chip some metal out of there, I'm going to start off with this, or I may even just line it with this. It's a great metallic. I don't use a lot of Citadel color most of the time, even though they make pretty decent products. I have all these other high-end art studio quality paints, and I'm so used to using those that's what I use. But definitely don't let a paint stop you. If you like one paint versus the other, that's cool, man. You should always work with what makes you comfortable when it comes down to art. If you're like, oh man, I don't like that texture, it's too thin, it's too thick, whatever it is, then you don't like that texture, and that's okay. You're the artist in your own right. You need to make those choices for yourself. I mean, I'm here to help recommend things, I guess. Now that I'm a, what do they call these YouTubers? That plastic is so funny. It really doesn't want to stay straight. They're just little pieces that came in a kid's board game, though. They're definitely the kind of plastic where it's hard to break them. Like, you get these things across the room, and it's not going to break them. I had to clean up Humperdinck. I'll show you that one in a second. I had to clean that one up over the weekend so that we could get the white to get down in the cracks right, because, like, it was bad. Him and the Count, their names were so bad you couldn't hardly get anything in because of the mold. Those have a lot more words on them, so I think when you get that much going on, the plastic kind of has trouble sinking in, which is pretty typical. Okay, so gotta kind of flip them around a little bit so I can see the parts where it doesn't have any of the flat black on it. You know, I made that G.I. Joe crack, but that's pretty legit. You don't want cloth to have that glossy thing necessarily. And his costume wasn't like that. His costume was definitely all cloth. It wasn't leather. It wasn't like silky cloth or anything like that. It wasn't a shiny cloth. It's a dull, flat black, head to toe. So, like, he's honestly the easiest character to paint. You know, flat black, and then we're just going to hit him up with some blonde highlights and stuff. Little flesh tones. Sweet. Well, I'm glad we had some chats. That's a lot of fun. And I see Crypto Mikkel's on here. He was actually at the party last night. He had some of the pie, I think. He even tried my stuff that had mushrooms in it, and he doesn't like mushrooms, which is always cool. That's I like it when people take that leap of faith. And even if you don't like it, like, I don't know. Okay, so just a little bit about chef world and chef life for anybody who's watching that doesn't really know. We're totally okay with you not liking something. That's all right. But if we're your friend and we're like, hey, you should try this, try it. It's totally okay for you not to like it. But as long as you're not allergic to it, give it a try. Chefs, you know, sometimes we cook things a different way than everybody else has, and you might like the way we make it. My tippy tappy dog is in here again. Hello, Blue Popper. Yeah, somebody had to go outside at like 2 o'clock in the morning after we got home. I was already exhausted. I'd been up cooking since like 8 in the morning. And I was exhausted. And this dog, she wants out at like 2 in the morning to go do nothing but bark. And it's just like, my God, dog. It's cold. I know you were getting ready to turn right around and come right back in this house. I went to go lay down out in the living room, and Kristen comes in and wakes me up, and she's like, are you coming to bed? And I'm like, I'm waiting on this dog. And she finally went out there and got the dog. It was pets are fun, right? That's what we tell ourselves. She's a good dog. I'm just being a curmudgeon, whatever. All right, let's go ahead and get right up in here. We want to get up to that edge of his hairline and get rid of all that black primer. Even if we're a little off, that's okay. We're going to come back with a wash and help pull out a lot of these details, and then we'll come back and detail out and highlight up his face. So what we're really just trying to do is make sure that we're getting this base pigment down. Nice and even as possible. If we're going to leave any darks, leave that darker spots in the recesses. it'll work to your advantage if it's in the recesses. And this might even take another coat when we come back on him. Get in there. Okay. You did it. Yeah. It was pretty tasty. I love it. Was empanadas. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, I made empanadas, but I made some like veggie empanadas because if you don't know Spanish food, it's like a lot of meat. It's like a lot of meat and seafood. It's how they like to do things, which is fun. It's great for a party, but it is a lot of meat, and so like you try to work in your vegetables. So we did like a veggie empanada and some sautéed asparagus with lemon. It's pretty tasty. I try to make sure I'm keeping up on my friend's nutritional intake. Keep y'all alive as long as possible. Even though I don't give myself that same service, I'm notoriously bad about putting everybody else ahead of myself to the point where I snap and lose it. It's like, I lost my mind because I wasn't taking good care of my own self. I was too busy taking care of everybody else. Time to rinse them out a little more. Remember, folks, try to keep your brushes dry. Or not dry, clean. And you do want to take a little bit of that moisture off your tip. I've got a paper towel I do that with. And you're just trying to keep the brush wet so that the paint doesn't dry out on your brush. Because once that paint starts drying out on your brush, it's really going to start making your brush stroke stand out more. So that's what you're trying to avoid. I feel like a lot of people don't tell you that on the painting tutorials and stuff. They're like, oh, listen, this is how a brush works. It's like they just jump straight into, here, paint this to an expert level. You can do it. And I'm sure that there are people who can. I mean, I could probably jump in there and do that. But I've also been painting now since I was like, I don't know, 4? I can't tell you the first time I painted a little miniature or something. It was definitely some sort of Christmas thing from my grandma. But then when painting these kind of miniatures, it was, yeah. Oh, man, I'm telling you. Keep everybody nutrition. Keep looking out. Gotta look out. I started painting miniatures, though, like, when I was in, I guess it was just out of high school, I guess, or in high school, maybe. I don't really remember. But, alright. Got that one little spot in his face. I'm trying to get that dot out of there. Right in here. See, there we go. I'm not wearing my gloves today, and I've got black paint all over my fingers again. Alright. Take up these little spots where we accidentally got too far. What they call the touch-ups. Yes. Maybe we're just a little bit inside his jacket. You can see right there where I kind of messed up. Well, maybe you guys can't. I certainly can. Oof, that is really in there. I'm going to try to let the wash get some of that. And that's really hard to hit without getting black all over him. Alright. So, okay, then here we were talking about Humperdinck. We got to get the gold and we get him started. Let me grab that real quick. Go over here to my paint-o-rama. I should have grabbed this earlier so I didn't have to stand up and risk flashing everybody. You know, I'm old and my trousers fall down. Just like old Biscuity Boyle. And if you get that joke, you're definitely welcome to come and have a glass of scotch at my house. Old Biscuity Boyle. Alright, so this is Windsor Newton gold, straight up gold. It's a nice gold. I like it. It goes on pretty smooth, and when it dries pretty... It doesn't look so flaky when it dries, which to me is super important. When you do a large amount of things and it looks too flaky, you don't like it. And gold in particular, gold and silver really kind of get flaky. I don't know what that's about. I mean, I am aware of how all of it works, but you would have to watch some of the other guys that do that sort of thing to understand it completely. There's a dude named Goobertown Hobbies that does like really good like paint and brush stuff. If you're interested in that sort of thing, definitely go check him out. He's a really nice guy. You can just tell he's a nice person in and of himself. He's very kind. I'm not always that kind. I should be, but I'm not always. But he generally seems like one of those people where you're like, oh yeah, I bet you meet that guy and he's one of the nicest people on the planet. But he does some really neat breakdowns, and like, I mean, I know a lot of stuff, but even every one of his videos, I usually can either pick up something that I didn't know, or it'll be something where I'm like, yeah, okay, I see how he's doing that, and I could improve my technique based on what I saw him do and how he approached it. And that's a really cool thing. Like, you get that sort of thing going on and really learn. Oh yeah, the gold's gonna look good against that purple. Yes. We're looking at the black side. Bro. Yeah, we had Kristen made cocktails called Pirate's Booty. It was fun. It's like a pear and rum cocktail. And they were good. Made with pear puree, so it was like actual pear in it. You're like, oh, this tasty. Keeping that brush wet. Do. Like I said, if you let your brush dry out, it damages your brush on top of making all of your work a lot harder. So definitely, there's some little fuzz piece. That was weird. Definitely, try to keep that brush wet as you're working, and not wet in paint. I had to teach my kids that one. They were all like, "But Dad, it's wet," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's wet in paint. It's not." I should try paint in the. Yeah. Oh, somebody just pulled up. I think that is my my mother-in-law, Paula. She is here to get my my middle son. Luckily, all of my children are here to tell her what's going on, because she might get confused. I don't know that she knows I'm doing these sort of things. And that's my oldest son back there talking to the dog, who has realized that Nana has arrived. Oh, see, I almost put brass in there. It was so good. I have that for have that mic for you still want it. Gotta fix this 480p thing. Yeah, yeah. So my friend Mikkel, actually, he does a lot more of this sort of stuff, and he's much more versed on how it works. So we're definitely gonna get things going. It just takes some time and a little bit of effort and patience, lots of patience, which I feel like I have more and more all the time. Yeah, boom. That's pretty good looking. Oh, and we were talking about how we had to cut in to get his letters to stick out. I still need to come back in with another round of the white ink, but it was so bad in here that it just all mashed together. And same on this side, that was all mashed together. So I had to scrape off the primer and everything, and basically reset it as white in the cracks, and then I'm gonna have to build it up from there, which is a giant pain. But it's gonna look great, and that is what we're trying to do, is make it look good. All right, so here we go. A little bit more of this pale terracotta for this face. Make sure this coat is super even. He's got that collar right there, so we don't want to paint into that collar. There's that little spot in his neck I'm trying to get to. Get in there. Get in there, baby. Got it. Yeah, better mic and, better lighting, better cameras. We'll slowly upgrade this thing until it starts to look legit. I feel like getting out there is a super important part of it. Get started, get people subscribing and liking, and we'll start worrying about all the little P's and Q's, which is, that's good, right? A little bit at a time, little tiny bit at a time, just like painting miniatures. When I first started painting, I had a really cheap set of paints that I bought as like a starter kit. I don't even remember who was making them. I don't think they were Citadel. I think it was somebody else, but I don't remember who. And it, yeah, they were all right. But I've slowly over the years I've upgraded. And like I said, I really like these Windsor Newtons and Golden because they're a lot stiffer, and I like that stiffer paint, especially when I'm trying to get it to hold that color. I'm gonna do one more coat of this magenta, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna hit up the rest of his gold and such. The kids and Nana out there running around. I'm not exactly sure what's happening, but I keep seeing the flashes it out of the corner of my eye. Alright, come back and do this. It's going to look really nice. A little bit of a dry brush of this over top of it. And we may drop that darker purple as a wash over it. And as I've said before, make sure you're keeping your brush strokes clean, go in the same direction, especially on a piece of cloth like this. You want it to go up and down as best you can. There's always exceptions to all the rules. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Ain't nothing else about it. So the next project we're going to do is either going to be working on the Tyrannid army we have here, or we can start painting kobolds for Dungeons and Dragons. So we got one, sci-fi thing and one not so sci-fi. And those will be fun. We can talk about kobolds and talk about what they are, or same thing with the Tyrannids. We can talk about what they are. That game should be just fine. Need to change the setting, which we see as the viewer. You can have a spare mic. Kids going to. Sweet. Yeah. Totally come by. Definitely could use your help. My kids will be here, but they're pretty easy to deal with. I definitely appreciate the help. It is not my area of expertise. I am definitely better at the painting side of this than any of the tech. Mikkel will start talking about things, and then I'll go. And I have no idea what you're saying, bro. I think you know that, and I think it's funny because it totally don't. Man, I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is a USB-A, and that is a USB-C. I'm about like right there. That's where I am. I used to be up on all that stuff, but then like I got so much into cooking that I'm available. That's funny. I'm always available. I'm like, I sit around here doing a lot of nothing. Plus, we got all the brakes and everything done in Kristen's car, so the van. I mean, it's our car, but I definitely call it hers. She really needs to be driving it more than me. I really shouldn't be doing a lot of driving. I have this thing that happens now where I'll cough so hard I'll pass out. It's like, ugh. Totally do not need to be driving. I can only imagine driving down the highway and coughing and passing out, causing a wreck, hurting somebody. It would just be awful. If I'm having really bad breathing days, I don't drive. It'll be soon enough I won't be able to drive at all. And that's okay. I'm not trying to act like pitiful or nothing. I don't mind. I just don't want. Like I said, I don't want to be that guy that hurts somebody because I was just being a butthead. You know what I mean? I choose to get up. I choose to get in the car. I choose to pilot the car. I choose those things. I make those choices. And I don't want to be that guy that makes that choice that ends up like, killing a single mom. And her babies end up, in foster care or whatever because I passed out at the wheel because I was too stubborn to give up driving or whatever. For whatever reason it is, people are still doing those sort of things. I don't want to be that guy. To me, that seems irresponsible. Although my doctors seem to think that was not fine. I was like, really? Like, dude, really? Sometimes I don't think doctors listen to us very well, It's you. Shut it off. I just bet I can't shut it. I totally get it, man. I'm the same with food. He says, I noticed, but I can't shut it off. And Mikkel's a tech guy, he knows his stuff. And like, if you're talking to me about food, I'm going to go off into left field and it's going to be like, oh my gosh, I have no idea. Are you talking about some small town in France where they make this one particular ingredient and people get this glassy-eyed look? So I totally understand how that goes. Alrighty. So, we've got to finish this guy's bling up because he got a gold chain too. Flavor Flav. Now metallics, here's a little thing about metallics. is that you have to like, yeah, you really, I shouldn't say have to, you really want a darker color underneath it. It doesn't necessarily have to be black per se, but you can see how this magenta is helping out too, because it's a darker color, and it was all base black, so that's helping too. But metallics seem to really like to sit up on darker colors better. My silver's a little thin, but it does end up, once you finally get it, you know, maybe take 2 or 3 coats, but it looks a little cleaner when it's under a darker color. And you know, you can play around with that too. Like sometimes I like to do a little like a green or a blue underneath the silver if I'm looking to get kind of a bluish green or something like that. Like I said, I'm sure you can imagine. My kids are out there distracting the ever-living snot out of Nana. They definitely came at an interesting time. But, you know, you don't pick times when people come sometimes, you know. She's coming to get Gale. Oh, I should not have said his name. I'm going to go back and delete that somehow. Hopefully it was too mumbly. I try not to say my kids' names out loud on the internet. Even though that one would be hard to track down. He doesn't have all the same names I do. He's mine. He's the one that's mine because I say so. There's Kristen's boy, and he's a good kid. Really good kid. He wants to be a writer. My oldest son wants to be an engineer of some sort. My daughter, she's probably going to end up being governor or something. And my youngest son, I don't know, probably the mafia. Or a boxer or something. I don't know. He's a lot like me. He's kind of a scrapper and a fighter. He might end up being a chef too. He really likes cooking. Although I'm trying to get him to not do it. The chef life is super rough. So I always try to keep him away from it. But, you know, if you're going to get in it, you're going to get in it. Nothing I can do about it. So I'll just arm you the best I can. Yeah, he's looking really slick. Yep. It'll be nice to, like I said, when we get McKelga in here, get this stuff fixed up. I think this next stream is going to be epic. I think I've finally gotten to where I'm getting pretty decent at keeping it in frame, because I found a setup that helps me keep it in frame. But what I need next is again, to get it to where it's going to stay on the zoom. And then, yeah, I don't really know how well it necessarily looks playing off until I see it again on a replay. So and I see where it definitely doesn't sit quite as well as you'd want it to. It doesn't show it quite the way you would want. All right. Now I'll just come back and pick out his hair. We'll go down to his boots. I'm thinking he needs black boots. Give him that evilness. Since, you know, what is it he says? He says, I've got a wedding to plan, a wife to murder, and Gilder to frame for it. He was so good in that movie. He was so good. Prince Humperdinck sells this movie to me. I really wish they had the Miracle Max, though. Miracle Max may be one of my favorites. I don't know. Everybody in that whole movie is absolutely hysterical, so you can't really go wrong. I don't know why I'm being so gentle around the sides of his boots. I'm getting ready to paint the base black. That's just the detail, I guess, in me. Like, oh, keep it tight, keep it tight. That's fun. So, anyway, so if you do see these videos, and you want to help kind of pick out what we're doing next. I think I have set a poll up in my feed where you can make like the post things for you to go to vote. I think I got it right. We're gonna leave it up for a little while. We'll leave it up till we get closer to the end of this project. I have those miniatures ready to go. So all I really need to do is know the day ahead of what I'm gonna do, so I can set up the blurbs. Whatever that thing's called. What is that called? Thumbnail. And then the doobly-doo blurb stuff in the bottom. Description. I like doobly-doo. That's from Matt Coville. If you're looking to learn how to run role-playing games, go check out Matt Coville. He's really cool. And they have their own stuff, too. They have, like, their own game system. Which, if Hasbro and the Wizards of the Coast mess up D&D, they might. Even more than it's already messed up. I might have to switch what we play. I'm pretty sure my lovely wife would like to play Vampire again. We'll have to consider that. But I don't know. I don't have a lot of miniatures for Vampire. We need like a lot more like period pieces and stuff like that. Which that might be fun, right? To paint that, some period pieces. Paint like Roman centurions and stuff. Alright, well, his dagger, I'm going to give him a little brass for his dagger, and this will be fun because we should be able to tell the difference. Well, I mean, you might not be able to see it on camera, but I can tell the difference from here. That is not the same metallic. The gold looks more gold, and the bronze looks more bronze. Oh yeah. Hey, thanks for voting. I appreciate it. Honestly, I don't care either way. Obviously. I just like painting stuff. I'll paint just about anything people bring me. I actually have a really cool thing coming soon. A former student of mine is going to send me something really neat, and we're going to paint a logo on it. So that'll be fun, and that'll be different. And I think that's kind of what we're going to do on this shadow. I mean, we're not always going to paint. It's not always going to be like a miniature. Sometimes we're going to paint other things. Maybe it'll be a model car. We pulled that up a minute ago. Which is, I mean, it is technically in miniature form. All right. That patience in that. Make sure you don't get too crazy. And brass again down here. I'm going to get all his metal parts down here to brass. Or the bronze. I keep saying brass, and it's bronze. It looks like polished brass. Which also kind of looks like polished bronze. I think it really matters about like perception of the color. You know, people, if it's supposed to be brass, I think people will see something and read it as brass. And I see a lot of that where people, model groups I'm in and miniature groups I'm in, where people are like, does this read as such and such? And it's like, you know, a lot of times it sure as heck does, because that's what the scene they're painting calls for. So yeah, it works out great. And what I'm trying to get to, the point I'm trying to get to, is that have that confidence that, yeah, it reads that way because the scene you're setting up, if you painted everything else up around it to look that way. Goodness. Paint my massive Bulbasaur. oh shoot, that's that one you printed that's full 100% resin. He didn't hollow this thing out. It's crazy. It's like if you hit somebody with this, they're going down. Like it's It's a hefty Bulbasaur. If you're a 3D printer guy, then you know how funny that is. Because you know how heavy that sucker really is. Like, it's a chunk of resin. It's crazy. You could put that on the end of a chain and swing it around like a weapon. It's funny. Here, this is really funny too. Look at how Humperdink's sword kind of just... It kind of bends down, like dangles down. I'm a terrible human being sometimes. I gotta straighten him out. Come on, we don't need him to have a... We don't want him to have a limp scabbard. Make sure your sword is straight, bro. Straighten it out a little bit. I don't know how long it'll hold like that. I should probably... When I finish these up, I'll spray them with a fixative. And sometimes that fixative helps, like, set them down better. Like, hardens it. Maybe it'll harden. I was kind of hoping that the paint was going to do that for us. And here we are. Okay, so... his shirt, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make a lightened Payne's Gray here. And again, Payne's Gray is it's a type of, it's a very, it's like a dark gray blue. And if you don't want it to be like gray, you want it to be like cloth gray, Payne's Gray is a real good way of doing it. If you're a Space Wolf player out there, then they use Payne's Gray to make the Fenrian Gray, the Space Wolf Gray. That is a lightened shade of Payne's Gray. So, we're going to come back. We're putting this darker one down on him now. We'll probably come back and lighten up this stuff with a highlight to pull out the details. But in looking in the source material, he has this gray shirt underneath it, and I think it is intended to match his pants. Although, as we noticed when we were doing our source material lookup for this, you can't really ever see his pants very well because he's always on a horse and there's always somebody in front of his legs. So, without going back and rewatching the entire movie, which I guess I could have done that. I didn't have the weekend. I just went for it, and I think it's going to work out great. It's already starting to look good. It's a good color combo. Purple and gray looks good together. And it'll make that bling show up real nice for us. Alright. Starting to look like the Prince. The flail of nerds. Holy mackerel, could you imagine getting smacked with a flail of nerds that were solid resin like that big? And like 3 of them on a flail. Wham! Golly, that would be a painful. Alright, so he's done. I'll come in here and fix his face just a little bit more. Trying to get on the edge of that beard to help him look better. I don't want to cover up both his lips too much. I want to be able to leave them out. Alright. Give him a little bit of that Fenrian Gray, that dark Payne's Gray, take care of his collar where I messed up. Alright. Now we gotta get that little face. Make his face look good. Man, it's hard to tell if he has a collar on too. Looks like he does. So we're going to come back and pull out some ochre here in just a second. And now we want to make sure we got all the flesh good. Yep. Well, that's fun. It's a lot more fun when I've got comments rolling. It makes it a little bit of a laugh. Okay. Come back here. And now we know what this really is right here. We can go ahead and make it yellow like it's supposed to be. We didn't really know that until he came in there and got his sword done. But now that we know, we can get rid of the rest of this black primer. And I do really think, I think that is a collar. Probably gonna have to come back with that gray one more time to be able to get down in there and get it. He got hair like Murder Face from Metalocalypse. One time this guy cut my finger off at a concert and threw it on stage. Murderface rolled it up in a joint and smoked it. Murderface! If you've ever watched that show, it is wild. Alright, now, let's go ahead, and it was shaking. Let's go ahead and get right up underneath there. Fix our little cluster of paint. Come one more time. This should have dried out enough now. One more time, fix this little collar piece. And in doing so, I see a little bit more hair that can get fixed. Alright, and that's Count Rugen. He is pretty much ready to go. Touch up those pants. See, and then this is even a lighter shade of Fendrian gray here, or Payne's gray. Payne's gray is what we are using. Okay. That one's done. Alright. Let's check her one more time. Oh, yep, we got to do her belt. Her belt was like pale yellow. I almost want to think. I almost feel like it was gold. Like it was like gold fabric, you know. But it was definitely colored gold. So I think we're just gonna give it to her. The gold, weirdos. I think I've spent too much time on the internet lately. I already know what people are thinking when I say stuff. We already had a comment about Flamely Jewels. Gotta be, gonna try to keep this PC, y'all. No, not really. I'm definitely not afraid of some jokes. It's good. It's all in good humor and fun. There's a way to go. I definitely noticed the people who seem to itchy do really well on YouTube are the ones that are entertaining in one way or the other. I don't really want to be the shock guy, though. I don't want to go into where people tune into my show to see what the next crazy thing I'm going to say is. But I definitely want people to come by and have a good time and have some laughs. Make some jokes. Especially about ourselves. I love making jokes about how ridiculous I am. Because, you know, honestly, I'm a pretty ridiculous human being. And I'm okay about that. If you don't like my kind of ridiculous, then you don't have to, and that's totally okay, man. I am not here to make everybody like me. That is definitely not my my goal in life. I mean, I don't want to make everybody dislike me per se, but I definitely feel like, you know, searching just to be liked is just it's a bad road to go down, kids. Don't do that. It's kind of hard to tell where that belt's going to be going back in there, but we're going to make a guess, and we're just going to take a stab at it. Time for deep breaths and bold decisions, yeah? Be alright back in there. Plus, once all that wash gets on there and everything, it'll be just fine. Alright, so last thing we're going to do is make sure we don't have any of that primer exposed on her, and all these little spots up here where we got gold on her dress. We want to address that. Address that on her dress. Come back down here where we accidentally got a little ink on her. Luckily that's like the tips of it, so that whiteness is going to help us just go ahead and give a little bit of a highlight right there at the edge, which is nice. Easy. Alright, now back up in here. I could go ahead and finish painting that part up. I think I'm going to leave it alone just to give it this shadow. The shadow is nice. Alright. Finish putting this ochre in for her hair. I'll tell you what, that witch I did was at a 75mm scale. I feel like this one, I think these are down at 32mm. And I'll tell you what, if you want it to be able to get in there and really make the details stand out, especially like faces and stuff, paint it, get them at that higher range. You got to be able to be kind of okay with what you're getting sometimes. When you go with down smaller, you'll be like, okay, well, this is the level I was able to paint it to, because the details only let me paint it to that level. And sometimes it's just the sculpt. Like this poor thing, we were talking about her last session, and how they kind of got her face as a little wrong. She kind of face is kind of long, like this, kind of conical, which is, people's faces don't actually do that. Not normally, anyway. Especially feminine faces. Like, feminine faces in general don't have that big chin. And I know that actress who plays Buttercup doesn't have that either. It may be again, another one of those side effects of the material that they had to use to cast them, when they casted this in plastic to sell it. So the sculpt, like the original sculpt, may not even look like this because of the way, when they cast them and they sit and they ship and, you know, lots of different things that can happen. And so the original artist's work may look way different than what we see when we get these pieces. That's the difference in, like, Citadel's plastic. You know, when you buy Games Workshop stuff, yeah, okay, it's super stupid expensive, but you're paying the quality of the details and the quality of the plastic itself is just far outclasses something like this. Even the new resin printers, the material is better than this for sculpting. It is not as resilient though, which is, again, as we were talking about earlier, they may have decided to use this kind of plastic simply because you're going to be giving this to families and for family game night or whatever. And you know, I got a little kid. You're not so much little anymore, but I've gone through raising kids, and I know how they are. And you don't want them taking your freshly printed mini right out of your resin printer and throwing it all the way across the dang room. You'd be mad as fire. Okay, all right. We definitely are getting ready to make it to the washes, and I will get those washes done. What time is it? Oh, it's 2 o'clock. We're going to go a little bit longer because I want to get her finished up. And I want to put a wash on her today, or at least show you guys how a wash works. I did it in my other videos, but I want to do it again on this one. And I want to be able to come in tomorrow, and I want to be able to finish up these models because I'm starting to get tired of painting them. It was a lot of fun, but I like to keep things moving, which is like painting armies is a little bit wild because you got to paint a bunch of them at once. So, awesome. Thanks, brother. Kel's stepping away from work. It's kind of nice to have a little somebody watching my shoulder. And it's kind of nice to have the running time. Like, I don't mind that at all. Like, guys, you can just turn me on and let it run. I don't care if you're actually listening to me or not. Really, I mean, like, I like that you do. I think that's awesome that people listen to me. But, like, if you just turn that on your TV and let your dog listen to me, hi, doggies. You're also welcome here. I think I have too much fun with my life. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some washes. We said we're going to wash her. So with this one, I'm going to get my raw umber there and my handy dandy bottle of water. You should always keep a bottle of water on your station. You know, and this one's a really easy one. It just kind of dribbles out of there. But it's always good to have water on your station. All right, we're going to get this real wet version of paint here. Super liquidy. But it's still going to have, should be able to see that on the camera. It still has some pigment in it. Might need a little bit more than that. And what this is going to do for us is, number one, it's going to help shade those spots where we're trying to get down into the cracks of things. And it's also going to help give us that little bit more of a natural tones and looks, because like things aren't in reality all that black. Now, like, it's like shadows aren't always, especially in the daytime, it's not black. It's more reflective of whatever color you're seeing. But you start throwing down a black wash on someone's face, and you're going to make their face look like a cartoon. So we want a little bit of a brown wash here, and we're just going to apply this and let it hit the cracks. Now, if you're having trouble getting the viscosity to go into your cracks, I have heard that you can put a tiny bit of soap in your water before you make your washes, and it will help it get into the cracks better. I have not done that. I don't feel like I've ever really needed to do that. My washes are usually pretty solid. I make my own washes all the time. But maybe there are some of you out there that have experienced this. And so when I hear a good tip, I try to pass those on, even if it's not necessarily something that I would use. Now, my big change up in these washes is when I get down to doing the metal. Now, the metal, I have a completely different wash. We didn't have a whole lot of metal we needed to wash on the witch, so I didn't pull it out. But I will show you guys that wash tomorrow. We'll do that one. And you see how I'm just letting this really wet paint just kind of fill these cracks up for me. And I don't want to put too much in there because then it's going to run down the base of the model and into our lettering. So I'm trying to be cognizant of how much I'm putting down there. And if you feel like you're putting too much, you can always just dry out your brush, suck it away. See? Just like that. Bam. Okay. But when this dries, when this dries out, it's going to look great. Because down in these recesses, it will have colored. And, you know, raw umber is a pretty dark color when it dries. But it's not as dark as black, so it won't quite go like black. And we'll do this. I'll do this to all of them, and I will run several times. I will run the washes over them, and that wash, as it goes, the wash itself gets thicker, but it also helps build up the color. Like I said, you may or may not be able to see that. We're gonna get working on that pretty soon. And if you can, great. You can see we're in the, like right here in particular, you see in the folds of her dress where it's picked up in her face. So anyway, that's all I got for you today. I'm gonna say toodaloo, and I'm gonna get started on some of the stuff. I'll go ahead and prime all these guys up, or not prime. I'll wash these guys for the evening and get them all set up for us to come back tomorrow and finish them up. If we're really lucky, we can have at least all the regular painting done. We'll have that finished up. And then, yeah. So vote in the poll. It's in my little feed thing here on YouTube. So vote in the poll and give me a like and subscribe if you're new around here. We love that. And share, spread, do all the things you do.